Three brothers who grew up together, but chose completely different paths. One believed in love and the purity of feelings, another believed in rules, laws, and what is right, and the third didn't believe in any of that. And in the end, who came out on top? Was it love? Was it the rules? Or was it limitless freedom? That's the question behind this story, but the answer is much harsher than we'd like to admit. Legends of the Fall isn't a fairy tale, so it lacks a moral and doesn't offer guidance on how to live. What it shows is much more complex, that every choice has its consequences, that life is uncertain, and that, unlike what we're taught in reality, we have no guarantees. But for you to really understand this scene that makes so many people cry and why it's so heavy and true, I first need to quickly tell you this story. The story revolves around the Ludlow family, a family that lived in isolation in Montana, in the United States, at the beginning of the 20th century, a frontier region defined by tough rural life, harsh winters, and a strong Native American presence. It was wild and free, but also lonely. The head of the family was Colonel Ludlow, a man who in the past left the army because he despised the government's hypocrisies and the brutality of the war against the indigenous peoples. Angry at the authorities, he chooses to raise his three sons away from civilization to shield them from the world's corruption. The mother was unable to bear the isolation and returned to the city, so the boys grew up only with the presence of their father and the indigenous people who worked and lived on the ranch. However, despite being raised the same way, each son grows up carrying a very different way of looking at life. Alfred, the oldest, is the responsible one, the mature one, the one who believes in rules, order, and discipline. Tristan is wild, impulsive, a hunter, almost a nature spirit. He absorbed the most from indigenous culture and spirituality. Meanwhile, Samuel, the youngest, is a pure, naive idealist led by principles and dreams. This difference between the sons highlights a clear contrast in their relationship with their father. Alfred's rule-abiding and proper ways remind the colonel of what he despises. And because of that, he's the one who suffers the most from his father's picking on him. Tristan is the favorite, brave, free, and wild. Samuel, the most fragile, is protected. The story unfolds, revealing the brothers' youth. But then comes one of the key moments of the movie, when Samuel returns from his studies in the city, bringing with him some news, his fiancée, Susana. And she's an essential character for the story because from the very beginning we see something strange happening. The oldest, Alfred, is clearly enchanted by Susana, while Tristan seems indifferent. But it's Susana who looks at him in a different way. She secretly desires Tristan. Look at this mess. Susana is with the youngest, but wants the middle one, who isn't interested. The oldest is the one who truly desires her. Within this dynamic, they spend much time together on the ranch. There's a classic scene where she enters dinner and everyone stands in respect, except for Tristan, who isn't tamed. And it seems to be exactly this wild side that awakens Susana's desire. Next, we reach a pivotal moment in the movie when Samuel tells his father a decision that will change the story's course. He says he's going to enlist to fight in World War I.
I'm going to Canada to earn this.
There will be no more talk of war in this building, damn it!
The colonel revolts, seeing war as a farce and political game, not honor. Nothing more than a theater run by men in suits who sacrifice innocent young people in the name of interests that have nothing to do with their lives. Alfred, loyal to social rules and duty, quickly says he'll join Samuel and is honored to defend his country.
I'll go with him.
Tristan stays silent and shows no wish to defend his country, yet he still goes. And it's clear he's not going for the country, he's going for Samuel. He responds to his father's urgent plea to protect his younger brother.
Take care, Samuel.
I will.
The three brothers went to war, leaving Colonel Susana and the indigenous people at the ranch. And there in the war, we see Tristan never leaving Samuel's side. He's always there, protecting and watching over him, keeping danger away.
I know that Mercy will protect me, greatly aided by Tristan, who appears to have come to France to fight the Germans rather than acting as his nurse.
Samuel, however, feels suffocated. Tired of being seen as the fragile one, the protected one, he decides to prove his courage by going alone to the battlefield, hidden from his brother. As soon as Tristan finds out, he runs after him, After all, Tristan feels responsible for his brother, but when he arrives, it's already too late. He only gets there in time to see his brother killed before his eyes.
Samuel!
It's the moment that changes Tristan forever. Overwhelmed by despair, he tears out his brother's heart, an act many see as madness and disrespect. But for Tristan, who learned from the natives, this was the way to free his brother's soul. That same night, consumed by fury, he invades the enemy camp. Not as an American soldier fighting for his country, but as a primitive man avenging his brother's death. He kills and takes the scalps of his enemies, which are like war trophies, according to indigenous tradition. When day breaks, Tristan returns to the American camp, his body covered in blood and several enemy scalps hanging from him. In his eyes, there is no pride or glory, just the look of a wounded animal. Everyone around him, even his own army companions, look at him with astonishment and fear, as if they don't see a hero in him, but a savage. And after that, the brothers return from the war. Alfred is decorated while Tristan carries the weight of his brother's death. When they return, Alfred tries to win Susana, but realizes she only cares for Tristan, and that eats him up inside. Rejected by his father and the woman he loves, he withdraws, moves to the city, and begins a career as a businessman and politician. Tristan, however, feels guilty and flees. Wilder than ever, he ends up getting involved with Susana. It's a strange, intense romance full of turbulence. Susana dreams of marrying Tristan and building a life together, but Tristan knows he can't, so he distances himself. He travels the world to escape pain. Susana, in love, vows to wait for him forever. For years, she writes him letters without a reply, until one day she receives a single letter, dry and final, saying that for her he is dead and that she should move on, find another man, and get married. And it's right at this moment in the movie, when Susana is there, suffering with Tristan's letter, that she meets Alfred again.
Alfred, that's your sister-in-law!
Yes. Shouldn't you remind him of that?
Alfred was passing by the ranch to tell his father that he had become an important and respected man in the city, and that he would now pursue his political career. But the colonel, true to his ideals, despises his son's chosen path. Alfred, in his view, had sold himself to the very system he once rejected. And then, Alfred, filled with hatred for not being recognized, decides to show his father what his darling and favorite Tristan was up to. And he shows the letter that Tristan had written to Susana.
Read the letter from your dear Tristan.
The colonel is clearly shaken, as if he suddenly realized that even his only son brings him no pride. Then we see Susana, injured and hopeless, surrendering to Alfred. After loving the naive and losing herself in the wild, she chooses safety. She marries Alfred for stability, status, and protection, though she doesn't love him. And then, a long time passes. Tristan finally returns, apparently more resolved, as if he managed to tame some of his demons. But when he returns, he finds things changed. His father is already weakened, a stroke victim unable to speak. The ranch is in ruins, and Tristan decides to take responsibility for the place. He also decides to build a family. He marries Isabel, the daughter of the natives who have always lived on the ranch, and has 2 children with her, one of them even named Samuel. He now not only has the responsibility of rebuilding the ranch, but also of supporting his family. Faced with difficulties, as usual, he goes against the rules and starts dealing alcohol illegally. Obviously, over time, this business starts to attract the attention of the city authorities, and then a new conflict arises. Tristan breaks the rules, while Alfred, now a respected politician and defender of law and order, confronts his brother and asks him to stop. But as usual, Tristan only does what he believes in, until an ambush changes everything. Tristan was returning to the ranch with his family when police set up a roadblock, ordered him to stop, and fired warning shots. But one of the shots ricochets and hits Isabel, Tristan's wife and the mother of his children. She dies instantly. Enraged, he nearly kills the responsible officer and is arrested for it. While in prison, he gets an unexpected visit from Susana, who makes a serious confession.
I still dream every now and then that I am the mother of your children. I wanted her to die. Maybe I even wanted Samuel to die.
She seems like she can't take the cruelty of life anymore. Susana tells Tristan that despite being married to Alfred for years, she's always loved Tristan, and never escaped the passion she felt since they first met. But this love never brought her happiness. On the contrary, it was a chain that trapped her, made her unhappy, and kept her from moving on with her life. And a short time later, dissatisfied with life and overwhelmed by despair, Susana ends up taking her own life. Now we reach the movie's long-awaited scene. Alfred and Tristan stand together before Susana's grave, where Alfred finally reveals the pain that has always haunted him.
I followed all the rules of man, of the gods. And you didn't follow any of them. And everyone loved you more. Samuel, our father, and even my own wife.
That sentence is devastating and impacts many as it shatters the major illusion that life follows a fair formula. We were taught everything has logic, that hard work, doing right, and following morals will eventually bring love, recognition, and security. But life doesn't offer that guarantee. Many times we don't end up with the one we love. Many times we don't achieve what we dream of. And even more cruelly, sometimes the one who did the least, the one who cared the least, ends up being the most loved one in the story. This is the case of Tristan. Everyone loved him more, but Tristan never asked for it, never wished to be loved. He simply was. And somehow this untamable, primal way of his was what ended up attracting everyone and everything. But that strength also had its price. Tristan was a ticking time bomb. He couldn't live within the rules of civilization, and that made everything in his life uncertain, unstable, and even dangerous. It's no wonder that everyone who got too close to him ended up paying a high price. Samuel tried to prove something beyond his brother's shadow and died trying. Isabel ended up murdered for being by his side in his conflicts. Susana was destroyed by an overwhelming passion that drove her to take her own life. It's as if Tristan wasn't made for this world that man built, and because of that, everything he touched ended in tragedy.
Oh, damn you, God. Oh, God, damn you, God.
What I find interesting about this story is the strong symbolism behind the three brothers. Each one represents something we carry within us. Alfred is the symbol of maturity, responsibility of the social role. Tristan symbolizes our wild, untamable side that rejects the structured world we inhabit. And finally, Samuel represents innocence, childishness, the purest dreams and desires we have. All these forces coexist within us. We all have an Alfred who wants to be accepted, a Tristan who rejects everything, and a Samuel who dreams. But over time, the world makes us quiet those voices. And the curious thing is that almost always, it forces us to pay more attention to our Alfred side. It teaches us to stifle our dreamer side, to erase our rebellious side, to fit in. This, in fact, is the process that our society understands as maturity. At this point, the movie shows that none of these forces is better or worse. Each has its light and shadow. The tragedy isn't being Alfred, Tristan, or Samuel, but believing we can only be one and shutting out other possibilities. It's funny because reading the comments on this movie, I saw that most people view Alfred as the story's main hero. This can be explained by two reasons. First, his beautiful gesture of loyalty and love in the final scene, where he chooses to go against the people in the world that gave him prestige and power, to save Tristan and his father, who were cornered. It's an emotional redemption moment for Alfred.
You don't have to be a genius to figure out they're going to come after you.
Yeah. Alfred, I want to ask you to take care of my children. Take care of Samuel.
Brother, it will be an honor.
But what also really fuels this view that he is the true hero of this story is the fact that he is the most relatable character for most people. Many people know what it's like to push themselves and get nothing back. What does it feel like to give everything to a child, partner, or loved one, but only get silence or ingratitude in return? That hurts, it's heavy, and possibly one of life's strongest pains. The pain of feeling that absolutely everything you have to give is not enough. It's not enough. But here's the harsh reality that few talk about. The universe is cruel to those who show neediness. This issue is hard to accept since we often focus our lives on the external world, waiting for it to give us signs, to show us the way, to somehow reward all our desperation for happiness, wealth, and love. But things don't work that way. In Alfred's case, he's always seeking approval, especially from his father and Susana.
Don't mind my brother. Your dog is better mannered than he is.
And while he's always trying hard to be pleasant, to be an example, a role model, right next to him we have a guy who never cared about any of that, who's always been rough in his actions, who never showed any need to be loved, but even so, still ended up receiving it. Maybe because Tristan already had what Alfred was trying to get from the world. Alfred loved his outward self, but Tristan loved himself inwardly. And that makes all the difference because it's what we are on the inside that defines what we attract on the outside. People who wait for external changes before changing themselves remain prisoners of circumstance. Someone who always acts in waiting, always thinking that life owes them something. Living like this is the big mistake many people make. But then how do you break free from that? The secret is to give without expecting anything in return, to be able to feel fulfilled purely by the act of giving. I know that at first this might even sound like something only a fool would say, like someone who accepts being taken advantage of, but that's not it. The point here is much deeper, because if you can only feel fulfilled when you get something in return, maybe that's a sign that you're not aligned with what you really should be doing. Maybe the real problem isn't the lack of return, but the fact that what you're giving doesn't come entirely from within you. I say this because when you're in tune with yourself, giving is enough. The simple act of putting out into the world what is genuine in you already fulfills you. And it's when you reach this point that everything changes. Neediness fades. Your energy and the way you walk change. Your choices become less desperate and reactive and more intentional and firm. Gradually, the world begins to reflect your inner changes. Not immediately nor always in the way you expect, but inevitably things start to align. And no, this isn't cheap mysticism, it's deeply practical. If you choose to live from scarcity, from need, from desperation, no matter what you say or wish, your vibration shows something different. And maybe that's exactly what this movie wants to show us. That the universe doesn't respond to what you ask for, it responds to what you are.